Hey, I'm Steph.
I'm Alex.
And this is Not Today, our true survival story podcast where we talk about
survival stories.
You get it. You understand. I mean, true crime, wilderness, everything in between. Yeah. We'll get there.
We'll find new categories. We will.
Hell yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm also good. We had a good day.
Well, we had a reservation to go pedal swan boats, but apparently it was too windy.
Yeah, that was annoying. But I mean,
that was some bullshit.
But then we got Cinnabons.
It's not like we were like sailing.
Yeah,
it's like we're pedaling boats in a fake lake.
Yeah, well, shit happens. But it was a nice day.
It was a nice day.
And we had some nice
the wind.
Cinnabons, and then came home and sat on the couch, which honestly, you love it.
Yeah, I needed a relaxing day.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this week.
And this week on...
this week's episode is about Juliane Koepcke.
Juliane Koepcke?
And who is Juliane? She was born in Lima, Peru in 1954 to her German parents who worked at the Museum of Natural History. And her father immigrated to Peru by stowing away an assault shipment.
In a salt shipment?
Well, like a salt shipment boat, like a boat that was carrying a salt shipment. I don't know why that was so hard.
No. What I pictured when you said that was like a man in
salt.
Yeah, like in a like a wooden crate of salt.
Yeah.
Just being like, I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, no.
That's what I thought.
He might have been.
Honestly,
I highly doubt that he was actually like surrounded by salt, but like, yeah, he just yeeted himself on a boat and fucking crossed the Atlantic to Peru from Germany.
Maybe he like told it that way because it's just like a cooler story,
Yeah, maybe he like played it up.
He's like, I was up to salt to my nose, up to my nostrils. I couldn't breathe.
I almost died of thirst. But isn't that crazy that people just did that shit? They would just like hide in a boat and go places.
Yeah, I mean, people still do it.
So common.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Like
sheer power of will.
I have so many questions. Like, where do you get water? Where do you get food? You're just like ripping up like people's luggage or something. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Just eating salt for 2 months. Like,
probably wasn't any luggage to be ripped up. It was probably just a shipment.
Yeah, true. But I mean, I guess this is 1954. Or no, he probably came across like after World War II. Some are like maybe at beginning of Korean War, but like I feel like we're not talking about the 1800s where it takes like months to cross an ocean.
Sure.
So
yeah. Well, we're tangenting straight off the bat.
Sorry,
tangenting? Is that a word? I don't know.
Tangenting off of I don't know. I just can't imagine being stowed away in a fucking salt shipment to get to Peru. Anyway, her father did that shit and had Juliane in 1954 in Lima, Peru. He was a biologist and her mom was an ornithologist, which I googled because I don't know what the fuck that meant.
Naturally.
And it is a bird expert.
Ooh.
So they're very much, into wildlife and biology. And when Juliane was 14, they left to establish a research center in the jungle. So these are jungle people. And it is when they built this that she started learning the survival techniques of the jungle as one fucking would in the middle of the jungle. And she felt very much home in the jungle. And educational authorities disapproved of them, like, I guess probably homeschooling her in the jungle. And she was like forced to report to like quote unquote real school. And she would take her exams there.
I'm sorry. The only thing I can think about right now is friggin' Tarzan when he's like in the trees and he's like when they're in the trees together and then he's like ooh, ooh, hee, ha, ooh.
Yeah,
he's like
her.
Jane loves Tarzan or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I don't remember what it is, what they say, but that I know the ooh ooh yeah ooh. That's definitely correct. But I just think about two people sitting in a tree. No, you don't give me that face. What do you? Yeah, when Tarzan goes, ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, anyone out there who knows Tarzan knows what the fuck I'm talking about. That's Sitting in the tree, touching hands.
This episode is going to take 2 hours.
No, I mean, yeah, we're talking about Salt. We're talking about Tarzan. We're making monkey sounds.
making-
They're in the jungle, for Christ's sake.
They're in the fucking jungle.
Anyway.
They're deep in the jungle. Anyway, so she went back to normal school, and she was able to graduate on December 23rd, 1971. And the reason that date is significant is because that was the day that this shit went down.
Oh.
So here's the situation. Juliane and her mother were in Lima, Peru, and originally going to fly back from Lima to the research center in time for Christmas. Originally, their plan was to go back December 19th or 20th. However, Juliane's graduation was the 23rd, and so was her prom. She wanted to go to the prom.
And prom's tomorrow. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Prom's tomorrow. So she's like, Mom, I want to go to prom. And so they changed their plans from flying out on the 20th or 19th to the flying out on Christmas Eve. Initially, there was like some back and forth there, but her mom agreed to let her stay, and they decided to leave on Christmas Eve. And all the flights for Christmas Eve were booked except for one with the Lanza airline. And her father urged them not to fly the airline due to its poor reputation after 2 plane crashes previously. And it is important to note that the fleet size of this airline was 3.
What? Like
they had
3 people?
planes.
Oh, I thought you meant 3 people could fit on the airplane. And I was
No.
like, excuse me?
No, they had 3 planes. 2 of them crashed.
Oh, yeah, that ain't it. That ain't.
Yeah, no, not. I have to say their batting percentage is not great.
Actually, speaking of shady airlines and bats, did you ever see?
God.
Did you ever see the video of someone on Spirit Airlines? I'm sorry, I don't know if this is like bad to say because I'm name dropping.
Save
but, like,
it.
What?
Say it.
Oh, but there was a video of someone. Actually, I knew the person who took the video of a bat on the airplane, like
on a Spirit airline.
Yes, like a bat was flying around the airplane before they took off.
Brought the fucking bat?
Like what? But anyway, that's carry on.
Yeah, carrying on. So yeah, I mean, the father's like, guys, please, like, for the love of God, don't go on this airplane. Like, they crashed twice. Like, are we really gonna do this? But in their position, they wanted to get home for Christmas, right? And this is the only flight. So, despite her father's warning, they booked the flight anyway. And initially, Juliane was happy that they even got the flight because they would be home in time for Christmas and New Year's. But also, like, peripherally worried about the airline's reputation, as one should be.
Sure, yeah.
So she was eager to return to the jungle and celebrate at her research station, spend the holidays with her family. So, like I said, the Lanza airline only had 1 plane left, and it would fly from Lima to Cusco through the mountains and then back. And that was basically, it did 2 flights a day. That was it. So they booked the Lanza flight also because it was so cheap. And we'll circle back to why it was so cheap. It wasn't just because of their bad reputation. So,
what?
Yeah, I'll put that little sticky note in there.
Okay.
So, I mean, most passengers of the plane considered themselves lucky, like they did, that they had the opportunity to go home for the holidays, which is fucked up. And the flight, from all accounts, started off normal. Juliane recalls passengers were receiving their lunch packs. So this is in the 70s. Mm-hmm. 9/11 wasn't a thing, so I would assume there was no security. They walked on, and I guess, like, back in the day, they used to, pamper you in some way. They give you, like, a meal and like drinks and shit. So they got lunch, and everything was fine. And they started flying over the Andes Mountains, and there was a thunderstorm accumulating. So then, increasingly slowly, the sky became more and more cloudy, and we can see where this is going.
Could you imagine my anxious ass on an airplane through the mountains in a thunderstorm? Oh, I can already project, or I can predict what you're going to, but oh my God. Yeah. Like, I'm scared of getting on an airplane, like... Period. End of sentence. But, like, that sounds... Ooh, all right, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you would be straight up shitting yourself at this point. So, like, everything's starting to get, cloudy and dark. And it came to a point where pretty much it was just pitch black.
Oh, love that.
And initially, Juliane wasn't concerned. She liked flying, so she was just like, whatever, fuck it.
I mean, never understand people who say they like flying. What do you mean? You like... Okay, I'm sorry, I'm about to get a little heated because people say that they like the airport. I have seen so many people, I've talked to so many people, they're like, I love the airport. I love going on planes, and I love the whole experience. And I'm like, I'm sorry, are you a fucking psychopath? Like, you like going through the airport? You like going through security? You like being around a bunch of people and, like, eating shitty food and, like, sitting in an enclosed space for hours? That is a nightmare. I'm sorry. My anxiety and my claustrophobia and my...
will not allow.
It isn't it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess unless it's first class at, like, Delta.
Have you ever flown first class?
I have once.
Actually, I have once too, but it was on accident.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. Some dude
I could understand if you're in first class.
Yeah. That was actually really lucky that one time. Some dude, I was supposed to sit in the middle seat in, like, the back of the airplane. And then this dude, as I was, like, walking to my seat, he's like, hey, my wife is in the seat next to yours. Like, can I have your ticket? And you can take my ticket in first class. And I was like,
you lucky bastard.
I was like, of course you can sit in my seat, you bitch. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, the shit's pitch black. Mm-hmm. They're flying, and... they start to hit turbulence. So her row of passengers is her mom, and then as she describes him, a fat man from Lima who was asleep until the turbulence got especially bad. Okay. And then he, like, woke up, and I would assume that he was like, what the fuck's going on?
As one would.
The only light that they can see at this point, they're starting to experience bad turbulence, everything's pitch black. The only light that they can see is lightning. So, like, lightning's popping off all around them as they rocket through this metal tube 2 miles above the earth.
Nightmare fuel.
Yep. So she said later that she had never experienced turbulence so bad before or since. And, turbulence got so bad, like, the luggage is flying around the cabin, and it's Christmas Eve, so Christmas presents are just, like, flying around the cabin.
Oh my God, how cinematic.
Yeah, and her mom screamed that this was the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be too, probably.
Yeah, and lightning hit their plane.
Yep.
Hit the right wing.
Of course.
Basically disintegrated the plane.
Oh God, what?
They were in a nosedive. They were, like, nearly vertical in a nosedive, flying to the ground. And it was at this moment that Juliane remembers being ejected from the plane.
What?
And her words were, it wasn't so much that she had left the plane, but rather the plane had left her.
What the fuck? No. Yeah. No.
So now she's falling towards the earth, and it's still in her seat. Both her mom and the other man are no longer with her.
Right.
And she feels the seatbelt press into her as she's, like, flying towards the ground. She remembers kind of looking down and seeing this, like, she was, like, spinning in a circle. And she didn't have time to be scared because it is at this point that she passed out.
Yep, I would too. I'd be passed out way before that.
Yep. So she fell from 2 miles up.
I'm sorry. I keep thinking about, I keep getting, like, little things that pop into my head when you, the song, 'cause I'm free, free falling. Anyway.
Yeah.
Keep going. That's another
That's what
aside.
happened to her.
Yep.
She was free falling from fucking 2 miles up in the middle of a thunderstorm in the Andes Mountains. Well, maybe not in the mountains, but over the jungle. Anyway, so she just before she woke up, so she obviously plummets to the earth and survives.
Incredible.
In some miracle of fashion.
Yeah, what?
So, she wakes up, but before she does, she has 2 very vivid, interwoven dreams. One where she's flying around like crazy in a dark room, dashing around the walls, and she hears a booming, like she herself was equipped with an engine. Very strange.
Is that like a
In
quote?
the other, no, it's not a quote, but I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But in the other dream, she felt the urge to bathe because her body was coated in mud and dirty.
Oh.
And it is after this dream that she wakes up to find herself under the seat that she crashed in and covered in mud because she has an extremely bad concussion. She like basically smashed her face.
What?
And
what do you mean? I'm just kidding. That's the total joke. Of course she has a concussion. Jesus Christ.
And so I don't actually know how long she kind of sat there, but I think it was like probably a long time, like a day or 2.
Yeah.
And so she's covered in mud. She finally like comes to after this weird dream. And she is actually covered in mud since it's the jungle and it's been fucking raining. She said that she could barely think due to her concussion. And she realized that her mother and the man sitting in the aisle seat were gone. She felt helpless and totally abandoned. She could barely see. Her left eye was swollen shut and her right eye was pretty swollen as well, but she could see through that one. She had only one shoe left and was in a skimpy miniskirt because that was the style back then.
Oh, wow.
So she's not equipped for a jungle expedition.
Right, I'm sure she didn't bank on being alone and
no, she's just come from prom.
Right. Oh, right. Yes.
So
prom. Mm-hmm. The best night of our lives.
Maybe not directly from prom, but like day after.
Right.
You know? She tried to stand up and blacked out and had to lie down.
Sounds like me whenever I stand up at any point in the day.
At any given point. So it's after this that she started to realize her injuries. She had a broken collarbone, a cut on her calf about 3 inches long and 1/2 inch deep, and then a pretty big gash on her arm as well. So she said she didn't feel any pain.
She's in shock, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's pretty amazing to me. She's got a concussion and she has all these injuries, but she doesn't feel any pain. So she thought of her mom immediately, like, where is she? And started searching for her. And she recalls later that words can't describe the feeling of despair that she felt as it started to set in, that her mom was not there.
Yeah.
So she immediately starts to go into survival mode. And she knows from living in the jungle that your best shot is to find water and follow it downstream. Because when she was living at the research center, there was this one guy who apparently had shot himself in the leg. He was also doing some like research expedition, but got lost, somehow shot himself in the leg. The details were not there, but the point being is that he followed the river that they were on downstream and found them at the research center and was able to get help from them. So she was like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
So she starts trying to find water. And before she does, though, she finds another seat of passengers some distance away, drilled 3 feet deep into the ground, face first. The only thing that was sticking out was the passenger's legs.
So dead.
So very much dead on impact.
Dead.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like when you fall head first from 2 miles up, not looking good for your health.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
For sure.
No, for sure, dude. Like, they're dead.
So she she said that she thought, could this be my mom? Which, she's like retroactively, that doesn't make any sense, but she was concussed after falling. So she like took a stick and started poking at the passenger's shoes and removed one of the shoes and saw that there was the nails were painted. And she's like, oh, that can't be my mom. She never paints her nails. She's like, oh, this isn't my mom. So she continues on into survival mode. She has a bag of candy, and she found a Christmas cake that was covered in mud, which she threw away after trying to eat some because it tasted so bad. But after the fact, she was like, I should have kept that fucking cake. But in the moment, she just got rid of it.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know that the length of time that she's about to be surviving in the jungle. So she initially heard a sound that kind of pierced her consciousness because she's has a pretty bad concussion, right? So she's kind of like walking around in this mental fog, but all of a sudden she starts to hear the trickling of water and follows it, at which she finds kind of this small stream and then continues to follow that, which goes into a bigger creek, which eventually leads to a larger river. So she's just like following water downstream. So she's sticking to the plan. She's doing what she needs to do. So she said that some people might have stayed at the site of the crash and waited for rescue, but she knew for certain that she had to move to find help because the jungle was so dense that there was basically no chance of finding her, especially like, the area that they have to canvas is probably extremely huge. I don't know what the technology was in 1971, but I'd imagine in the thunderstorm they lost communication at some point, so they're probably like, there's this like 100-mile radius that they could be in, and it's jungle.
Yeah,
so,
that's not looking great.
Yeah, chances not looking great. So she's following the water downstream, and she said that her concussion was so severe she was like wasn't scared of the jungle at all. Like there was no like sense of danger for her really. Like she just kind of like had one thought that she could hold in her head, and that was like follow the shit downstream. So I was like, that's pretty crazy that like she has the mental capacity to hold even one thought, and then like also like isn't scared of anything.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sure like I can't even imagine like what kind of headspace she's in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she's probably not like
not great.
Not thinking much. She's just
mostly head empty.
Yeah, mostly head empty, but like sliver of it. Let's keep going downstream.
Yeah. So she keeps plowing ahead, and on the third day of following the stream, she runs into what is the plane's engine crushed into the ground in the middle of the river that she's following.
Great.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Yeah. And so around the third day, she's following this river, and she hears this animal that she knows very well from her time at the jungle called the Acresta chickens. And Juliane calls them her savior because they make this distinct snorting sound and have a peculiar oh my god.
Peculiar. Take sip
We're done.
Bourbon.
Yep. They have a very strange behavior.
Peculiar, if you will.
I'm done with that word. Fuck peculiar. But they gather around rivers. And they, like when you approach, they like freak out and apparently make this like very distinct snorting noise. And as you get closer, they'll like flap their wings and kind of like bow to each other. And she's like, it's actually pretty hysterical to watch. But the point of all this is that she knows that there's a larger river.
Right.
So she follows that noise. And it's fucked up because if she would have gone in the opposite direction, she would have found a river that was much more busy and probably would have been discovered like days before she actually was.
That sucks.
So they are her saviors, and she does survive, but it's kind of like,
what? She survives?
Yeah, no way.
Oh my god.
It's like,
you mean
crazy.
survival story?
So she follows the birds, or the chickens, and she finds herself at the Rio Chabonia.
That's fun. Say that 5 times.
Yeah. Rio Chabonia. So that's like Rio's river, for those that don't know.
Sick.
So she recognized it because of a giant group of cane. So I guess this is a distinct plant for this river. And she knew that this river was not very navigable by just regular boats. So she couldn't just kind of wait around for a boat to come by. She knew that she had to press on and keep going downstream because she knew that boats weren't going to be coming up this river. So she basically is just walking through the water and like swimming and floating down this river. And
lazy river from hell.
Basically she's on a lazy river from hell with a broken collarbone, 2 cuts, and a massive concussion.
Wow.
So Juliane's fucking making it happen here.
Mm-hmm.
She starts to hear planes going overhead, and meanwhile, while she's trying to survive here, like the biggest search effort in Peruvian airline history is underway, and they're like flying a ton of helicopters and planes over the jungle, and for 10 days they were searching for remnants of this flight, but nothing turned up.
Wow.
And after 10 days they called the search off.
Damn.
And Juliane remembers hearing planes going over every once in a while, but after some time they stopped, and it's at this point that she feels like even more despair, like, how am I going to get out of here? They're like, nobody's even looking for me. But yeah, she presses on, and
what did she do at night? Like what?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
So during the documentary that I watched, they're like, if she just had a knife with her,
mm-hmm.
she would have been able to cut open trees and eat their pulp, which would have sustained her, and she would have been able to like hack open vines that would have given her fresh water. So like this whole experience is made so much more difficult because she has basically no clothing and no tools.
Right, I forgot she was in a goddamn mini skirt.
She's in a mini skirt, like insane.
Yeah.
So she also said like she felt no danger, right?
Right.
She also wasn't hungry this entire time. She felt no hunger.
Concussion.
Which is like
a bitch, huh?
Crazy. Well, is it?
I don't know. I have never had a concussion. I mean, you would know better than I would.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bitch, but like if I'm in the jungle, I'd rather not feel hungry or scared.
Well, yeah, I mean that's nice. That's nice.
So,
in that situation,
maybe concussion for the win?
Right.
I don't know.
Who knows?
So, plowing ahead. The only thing that was alarming to her in this whole situation was a wound, that the wound in her arm, flesh flies had laid eggs in that wound, and maggots had hatched.
No, stop. Don't. Oh, God. Is this what you were talking about
Yes.
when you said I was going to feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, that is my worst. Oh, God. Oh.
I would ask you if we could keep going, but this is part of the story, so we gotta plow ahead.
Plowing right ahead.
Plow ahead. It's fucking maggots in her arm.
Oh, God, don't say it anymore.
The wound in her arm is about a quarter, and they had pretty much burrowed about a half inch into her skin.
Don't say that. Oh, God.
It is at this point that she got frightened she would develop blood poisoning and lose her arm. And, quote, that really worried me.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Jesus,
like,
goddamn.
No shit.
Oh, that. Okay. Trypophobia. I don't know how to.
Tachophobia.
That's not that, but
fear of holes.
But
you got it.
Yeah, I got it. But the thing is like, it's not just a fear of holes. Like, that sounds weird. It's like clustering, and it also like specifically for me, I'm gonna sound like a crazy loon when I'm talking about this. But like, Specifically, when I see shit like that, I'm like, ooh, what if that was in my skin? Like I just picture it in my arm or in my and now I can't. I'm sorry. I'm very uncomfortable. You were right. This is terrible.
I know.
Okay.
I couldn't wait for this.
I probably sound like a lunatic. This is great. Keep going.
So, she's, quote, really worried.
Yeah.
So, like I said, most of the time she's like pretty much swimming or floating down the Rio Shibonia. And this is another part that you'll feel great about.
Great.
Sometimes crocodiles would come in from the banks of the river as she was floating down and swim directly at her. And she didn't move because she knew that they didn't pose any danger.
What? She just knew? She was like clued in with these alligators or crocodiles, whatever the hell?
I don't know what it is or exactly why, but she was saying that like crocodiles really aren't that big of a deal. Like they'll swim towards you, but then they'll go down and burrow themselves in the mud. So they would pretty much swim off the bank and then get really close to her, but then just like swim down into the mud. And she like, for some reason, I guess that they don't attack people. I don't know what the deal is.
That sounds fake.
Yeah.
No, I know it's not fake, but it sounds fake.
It's crazy.
Terrible.
Sounds crazy. I would be shitting my pants.
I would have been dead 10 times over. Not more than that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I was like, this... As I got like halfway into this story, I was like, this is kind of all your fears packaged into one story.
Yeah, this is terrible for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I sit here in my fucking sweatshirt in my, like, cozy little apartment being like, this is terrible for me.
Oh meanwhile,
this lady did this, like, for realsies. And
yeah.
wow, I'm such a little bitch.
She is fucking strong. Anyway, so, like, this is, like, she was like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in the river. Because, like, if I go in the jungle, then I'm, like, gonna die for sure. So... she knew that these are caiman, it's like crocodiles, caiman. She knew that they wouldn't harm her. So she just pretty much stayed the course. And what she did know, though, the bigger danger of the river was the poisonous stingrays. Oh. So the entire time she's like floating down this river, she has a stick and she's basically like poking the mud for stingrays. Your mouth is just wide open.
I have nothing.
No, we're not done yet. So hold on to your butt here. So the stingrays are the most dangerous things of the jungle, like of the river.
Right.
More dangerous than the poisonous snakes, tarantulas, and jaguars.
Jaguars.
Which you might assume like those are the worst, but apparently these stingrays are fucking gnarly. So she's pretty much floating down this river, like poking to check. There's some stingrays that are gonna kill her. And, Steve Irwin style.
Yeah, R.I.P. I was just thinking that.
Yeah, R.I.P. Steve Irwin. Fucking legend. So you asked what she would do at night. So before nightfall, she would kind of search for a large tree trunk or something to kind of cover her back, so that she wouldn't have to, like, worry about anything coming from the back of her. And then she would kind of just like lay there and find big leaves, cover herself, and then sleep. And when it wasn't raining, she would get eaten alive by mosquitoes. And when it was raining, it was so cold that she felt like the rain was stinging needles. And she basically shivered all night and didn't get any sleep. So either way, it was not great.
Bad.
It was bad.
Full on bad.
One might assess it as not good.
Oh.
So for 10 days, she's doing this shit.
10 days.
Yep.
That...
Just like floating down the Rio Shibonia.
Basically naked and afraid, but not afraid.
Mini skirt and afraid.
Mini skirt and like not really that concerned.
And like had one thought.
Oh God.
Yeah. So sometimes she said that she would float down the river with no thoughts at all, seem in like this trance because she's like starving, concussed, and very much injured. So she was like pretty much just like kind of out of it. And she was like floating down. She would just kind of like float
Yeah, what else can you do but dissociate, honestly?
Right, she's basically dissociating
Yeah.
at this point. And it's on the 10th day that she settles on a sandy bank along the river, kind of not looking around, like in this trance state and not really seeing anything. She just kind of like plops herself down. And all of a sudden, she kind of like comes to from this state and realizes that there's a fucking boat right in front of her. And she's like, am I tripping? Like, am I hallucinating? And wakes up and like goes to touch the boat, like has to touch it to be like, okay, like this is real.
You gotta touch the butt.
Yeah. And there was no one there, but she found footsteps up this slope leading away from the river. And it was at this point that she didn't want to take the boat since she did not want to steal it.
What? Oh my, that is the least of your worries.
So this just speaks to, I feel like, how good of a person she is. Yeah, she's...
Jeez. So wait, I'm sorry to backtrack a little bit, but like, so 10 days, and you said that it would be much easier for her if she had a knife because she could eat the like tree, whatever, and then she could drink the water. But what did she do? What did she eat or drink? Did she say?
She didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming she drank out of the river.
Was the river like fresh water?
Probably not.
Well,
I don't know.
That
I
would
don't know.
kill
Like,
you.
they didn't actually go into like how she got water.
Okay.
But
because
I mean, it is the jungle and it rains a lot, so
right.
she might have also gotten it from like leaves that
sure.
have like kind of these pools of water.
Yeah. That would make more sense. But yeah, I mean,
also,
if it wasn't,
like when it's raining, you could just kind of like
open
your mouth, I guess.
But if it was salt water, that would kill her even.
It's not
quicker.
salt water.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's definitely not clean.
Well, no, I'm not saying clean. I'm saying
it's running water.
Yeah.
So it's better than like stagnant water.
All right.
So
well,
I don't know.
She survived, so clearly she had some
survived.
sort of water because she would have died after like what, 3 days, 2 days?
Yeah. So, yeah, she's not eating any food, drinking water, and she's found this boat and this track of footsteps. She doesn't want to steal the boat because that's just who she is, even if she's about to die. She tries to crawl up the slope where she sees the footsteps leading to on all fours, but was too weak to make it up at first, and after hours of struggle, finally made it up this 9-foot-high slope. And at the top of the slope, she finds a small hut with an outboard motor laying next to it, and she's like, this has got to be it, where these people are. There was no one in the hut at the time, so she just took shelter in the hut. Mm-hmm. So she sheltered there for the night. And in the morning, she awoke like extremely weak because she hasn't eaten anything. And she still wasn't hungry, but knew that she had to eat something or she would probably die of hunger. And there were a bunch of poison arrow frogs all around her. You know, those frogs that they'll like take a dart and like rub it on the frog. And it's like poison.
Sure, I mean, from the name, that sounds... Yeah. But I've never heard of that. But cool.
Never heard of that?
No.
Yeah, I guess the indigenous tribes around here will like use that to hunt. They'll like take a dart and like rub it on these frogs and then like...
When you say around here, do you mean like the United States? Or...
No, Peru.
Oh, Peru.
We're in Peru. We're in Peru
right. I thought you meant like just in general.
Oh, yeah, in L.A.
Yeah, I was like
the indigenous tribes of L.A.
I was like,
they
hello?
make poison darts to go to go hunt for their kill, at Starbucks.
Yeah. Peru. Right.
Anyway, so she knew that like if she ate one of these frogs, she probably wouldn't die.
Yeah.
It's like if you eat one of them, you're gonna be fine. But she was like, retroactively, she said that if she had eaten one in her weakened state, she probably would have died.
She probably would have died. Yeah.
But nevertheless, she tried to catch one of them, but she was too weak and too slow to actually catch any of them. And I guess that they were like all over this hut and basically like hopping right in front of her face, like 4 to 6 inches from her face. She still couldn't get one. And, she basically just stayed in the hut half conscious for about 2 days until 3 lumberjacks found her in their hut. And they immediately acted and poured gasoline on her wound with the maggots in it and dragged her to the boat and rushed her to the nearest village. And as she was going down the river towards the village, Her eyes were so bloodshot from the concussion and injuries that people going by thought that they had seen a jungle demon.
Oh my God.
And like ran away or like sped away. They're like, holy crap.
Jeez.
So, I mean, I'd imagine her eyes are just like completely red.
Yeah, probably. I mean, friggin' impact from a plane crash will do that, I guess.
That'll do it.
She shouldn't be alive like that.
Yeah. Yet she is. Juliane prevails, and so they rush her to the nearest village and fly her out from a small airstrip to a missionary hospital in Pucallpa, where she is reunited with her dad.
Wow.
Months later, she recovers and was released to the hospital, from which she flew out of.
Oh.
Which I thought was crazy.
No, but never again.
You know, she wasn't on land, so I guess.
Right.
But she flew out from the hospital area. Fucking insane.
Did her mom die? I'm assuming yes.
Where I'm literally just about to touch on
right.
that. So she continued to help with the search for the remnants of this plane after she was released from the hospital. And she was finding parts of the plane and survivors' bodies in the jungle. And she later learned that her mother also survived the crash initially, but died from her wounds several days later.
That's so sad.
Her mother's body was found over a year later in January of 1972.
Wow.
So after this, she moved back to Germany to fully recover from her injuries and went on to study biology.
Right.
Just like Dad. At the University of Kiel, graduating in 1980.
Wow.
So think about that. She graduated from high school in 1971, and she graduates from college in 1980. So she probably started in 76.
Yeah.
So it probably took her about 4 years to fully recover from this.
Yeah.
4 to 5 years. And she wasn't done there with her bachelor's. She went on to get a doctorate in mammalogy from the Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich and returned to Peru to conduct research specializing in bats.
Wow.
So she's not done. And she published her thesis in 1987 titled very descriptively, The Ecological Study of a Bat Colony in the Tropical Rainforest of Peru.
Wow. That.
I was just like, this is so matter of fact.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into.
No bullshit.
No.
And so in 1998, Juliane took a flight with a documentary maker 27 years after the crash and basically just retraced her steps. And she flies on the same path that she did 27 years ago, and recalls being a bit anxious.
Yeah.
As one might.
Yeah.
And during this documentary, she like revisits where the plane crashed, and she kind of goes through her journey through the jungle and actually like finds the engine again.
Oh my God.
So she's like on the path that she was all those years ago, and she called the experience a kind of therapy.
Yeah.
Because she was just kind of like laying to rest the experience.
The trauma. Yeah.
After this documentary, she dropped her autobiography in March 2011 titled When I Fell from the Sky.
Oh my God.
Continuing with these literal titles, for which she received the Corine Literature Prize. And in 2019, the government of Peru awarded her the Order of Merit for Distinguished Services in the degree of Grand Officer.
Wow.
I'm assuming for her continued effort to search after the plane was crashed and she recovered. And today, she works as a librarian at the Bavarian State Collection of Zoology in Munich.
Wow. Wow.
And that wraps up the story of Juliane, although I have quite a few postmortems are kind of like details after the fact that I would like to share.
Yeah, share them out.
Number one, there was a movie made about this a few years after, and she talks about it in the documentary that I watched. And she's basically shit-talking this documentary, which I thought was fantastic. She was really annoyed by the sensationalized dangers of the jungle and the, quote, abysmally bad leading actress.
Oh, God, that's got to burn.
Such a burn.
That's...
So she was saying that, like, basically this actress kind of stumbles through the jungle in the movie, like, very much doe-ish and, like, helpless.
Yeah.
And is like freaking out as like snakes and tarantulas and jaguars are around every fucking corner, and she's like, and is like freaking out about everything and just like has no sense of control. And she especially hated this one scene where I guess there was a monkey and the monkey's child, and a jaguar ate the monkey's parent, and for some reason she like starts hugging this baby monkey, and they like find solace in hugging each other as they like kind of escape the danger of this jaguar. And she's basically, what the fuck is this scene?
Yeah.
And
completely, I guess just artistic liberty, like, I guess. But.
Yeah, and then like the next day they have to like split up, and like the
Part
monkey's like, I gotta
monkey.
go, and she's like,
I gotta go my own way.
What about us?
I'm sorry.
Basically, and like I guess they have to split up, and she's like crying out, it's like, you can't leave me, to this baby monkey. So she's like the whole, I guess the whole point is like they portrayed me as this like helpless bitch, and like I completely wasn't.
Yeah,
like
she seemed
I
together.
wasn't even blinking when there was fucking maggots in my arm and crocodiles coming off the shore directly at me. So like, you guys can fuck off.
I feel like I need to go to like a Lamaze class.
Yeah, you need to do some meditation or
breathing
something.
Course after this.
And okay, another detail. How the fuck did she survive?
Yeah.
So some explanations from others and Juliane. In the thunderstorms, I guess there's powerful updrafts that could have slowed her fall, basically like forcing air up and slowing her down. Number two, could have been because during the brief time that she was conscious, remember she realized that she was spinning, she was still attached to the seat.
Yeah.
And they were saying this kind of could have created an effect similar to like a maple leaf, where it like those helicopter leaves where they kind of spin slowly to the ground. They were saying that since she was still attached to the seat could have basically been like that leaf, kind of having that spinning effect, slowing her down. Also, the section of jungle that she landed had extremely thick tree vines, which also probably slowed her fall.
Wow.
So in a combination of all these, they probably all helped her to survive ultimately.
That's very
a 2-mile
lucky
plummet to the earth.
Lord.
Now, part C. Why was this airline so goddamn shitty?
Yeah.
We're about to find out. It was later found that the mechanics that were repairing the plane's engine had only worked on motorcycles previously to the job.
Only on motorcycles?
Yeah. The same. Basically the same.
It's the same shit.
Basically the same. They had no experience with airline engines previous to repairing the Lanza airplanes.
Oh my god. No wonder all three of them crashed.
Yeah. Also, the pilots did not have the appropriate licenses to fly the plane.
Great.
Part C.
Another part C.
We're not done. There's 2 more.
2 more C's?
In the Lanza crash in Cusco, just before Juliane's crash, 101 bodies were found, and a co-pilot who was the sole survivor, severely burned. This was found, 102 people were found for a plane that was only supposed to hold 92 people.
No.
So they packed the plane with 10 extra passengers.
What the hell?
To make more money. And the last part is that Juliane only flew this airplane because it was the cheapest and she needed to save money.
Right.
Is from her words. And I'm like, well, no shit, it was so cheap. They're paying motorcycle repair people, pilots that don't even have the license, and they're packing people on here like rats.
Right.
So, fuck this airline. They can't be in operation because their last plane crashed.
Damn.
So I can't imagine that they're still in operation.
No, I'm sure not.
And that concludes my details for this story. Holy shit. Fuck that airline. And thank God Juliane survived. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, everyone else on that flight died.
That's...
And the 2 crashes before that, I can't imagine that many people survived.
No, I'm sure not. This is my actual nightmare. That's
Yep.
it. Whew. God
Yeah.
damn. I wish I had more to say, but I died. Ooh, I don't want to revisit the thoughts of like the specifics. You know what I'm talking about. Let's not get into it. Ooh, let's not. Hey, let's not talk about it. Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I wish there was a baby monkey.
I kind of do too. You know, that would have been really good. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that's what keeps you going is the baby monkey?
I mean, that would have been quite.
Did she even name it?
What?
That heartless bitch. Did she even give that baby monkey?
This hypothetical baby monkey?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What would you name him? George? Curious George?
Sure. That sounds good.
Maybe Doug?
Doug. Yeah. This is Doug, my baby monkey.
This is Doug, my monkey. I've actually, back in Michigan, I used to work at a hardware, and multiple times actually, there was this lady with a real ass monkey that would come into the store.
She'd bring it in the store
with her fucking monkey. Yeah.
Like with a diaper and everything?
I don't remember if it had a diaper. But she had a full ass monkey, and she was like, literally, don't come near him. He will attack.
What?
I was like, sure.
Why are you bringing it in the hardware, you crazy person?
I was like, sure, can I help you find glue or something? Like, whatever the fuck she needed. And I was like, okay, let's just keep a safe distance from this monkey.
Oh my God, what?
But yeah, I don't know. I would kind of assume that people would come up to the monkey like a dog, but you know, if you strangers come up to the monkey and it's young, and probably wants to bite you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do you have any words
about the
survival?
story? No. I mean, what a hard bitch we got here. I mean, that's...
Yeah, well, the whole experience was 12 days, but she basically spent 10 days in a river.
Yeah, I mean, and like,
freezing her ass off at night.
Thank God she like worked in the jungle before that, because
she would have died.
Any other person who like didn't have
would have had to have been so much more lucky.
Yeah, if they didn't have just like that random bits of knowledge about like, oh yeah, these crocodiles won't eat me, you know, or like I don't know, just like random little, or like these chickens mean that I can be near a river, or like I don't know, it's just whew.
Yeah.
Like, these stories are just like...
Juliane knows.
These stories are just like the luckiest of the unlucky people.
Yeah, you know? Like, you're just lucky enough.
Yeah. I mean, damn. But, all right. Well, that's incredible. But would you have something good to talk about? Like something that isn't maggot related? Because Jesus Christ.
That isn't maggot related. I've planned my trip to see my family for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Like, that's fully happening.
Yeah.
I'm just going to rent a car.
Hell yeah.
And get to go see my little cousins, Hugo and Bella.
Oh, they're so cute.
Each, Hugo is 1.5, and I believe Isabella is almost 4. Mm-hmm. So, I really enjoy playing with them.
Yeah, they're adorable.
They love, I like pick them up and like kind of throw them and catch them. They eat it up. They love it. So can't wait to do that on Thanksgiving and eat. I actually don't know if we're gonna have turkey because my aunt-in-law,
Your aunt?
My aunt. I don't know, but she's, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She's a vegetarian, so I don't know if we're gonna have like a tofu turkey.
Maybe you have tofurkey. Yeah.
Tofurkey. I don't know what they do.
What do vegans do on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's a great question. Do they eat, I don't know, soybeans?
Lettuce?
What the fuck?
Do you just chomp on some soybeans, you weirdos? No.
Vegans, let us know. What do you do for Thanksgiving? I don't know. What's the like most hearty thing a vegan can eat? What's the most savory thing? Probably like pasta. I would imagine like pasta's probably pretty.
Can they even eat? I mean, is there like vegan pasta? Because I know when you make pasta, you use like eggs and shit, right?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, you can have zucchini noodles. You can have zoodles.
You can have zoodles, but that's not pasta. Let's not be like saying that zoodles.
Twisted.
Yeah, let's not get that shit twisted. All right, zoodles are not pasta.
Should I Google it? I was like,
is there vegan pasta? I don't know, man, but I could do vegetarian. I couldn't do vegan.
all right. This is what Google says: pumpkin soup, casseroles, vegetables, mashed potatoes, and gravy, rolls, cranberry sauce, sweet potatoes, stuffing, and even pumpkin pie.
Ooh.
All have easy vegan versions.
All right. Well, you know what? All I eat on Thanksgiving is fucking stuffing and.
Stuffing is the fucking
That's
best.
it.
But how do you have vegan stuffing? Because the stuffing is only good because it's
Stuffed
been
in the bird.
In the bird.
In the bird butt.
Yes. Not even in the butt, just like all the way through the butt into the rest of the turkey. That's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would not trust vegan stuffing. I'm sorry.
I'd have to be given like a taste of one and then have someone be like, "It's vegan," and I'd be like, "Okay, whatever, it's fine." But anyway,
It's vegan. Yeah, what's your good thing?
my good thing. Oh,
Bring it back.
I've been really enjoying this show we're watching, Wentworth.
Oh, Wentworth.
It's really fun. It's good. It takes place in Australia. Like, I made a mistake, okay? I heard an accent. It's very clearly an Australian accent, but in my head, I heard an accent and was just like, oh, British, of course. And just like didn't even think about it again. But we're 3 seasons deep, and last night we were watching it, and I think you brought up that it was in Australia, and I was like, what? And now Alex won't let me live it down. So it's in Australia is what I'm getting at. Whatever. I made a mistake. I'm only human. But it's a really good show.
But it's honestly more hilarious to me because you took a dialects class and learned how to do accents in college.
Drag me through the mud.
Yes,
Why don't you?
Absolutely dragging you through the mud.
It's fine, okay?
Yep.
I made a mistake.
Australian equals British. They're basically the same.
No, they're not. But I'm wrong. Anyway, it was a really good show, and
I'm sorry, you're not done. I just can't believe it took you 3 seasons.
Oh, shut up! All right, it's really.
You know how much hours of television did we watch? I mean, there's probably like what 10 or 12.
Are you
episodes
enjoying yourself?
Yeah,
this is really fun for you.
It's really 2.5 seasons that we got through.
I'm gonna shut
40-minute
down.
episodes.
Okay,
so almost probably like 20 hours of footage before you realized.
Okay. Anyway, it's a good show, and I really am enjoying it. Anyway, let's plug the socials. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, where we post pictures and videos and, you know, all that fun stuff, follow us. We are Not Today _podcast. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, we are Not Today Podcast, but the T on the end of podcast is a 3 because that makes sense. If you or anyone you know has a story of survival or true crime or anything of that nature, send us an email. We'd love to read about it. We'd love to do a listener's episode. You can email us at notodaypodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, I mean, is that it? Did I miss anything?
I don't think there's any other social media.
Yeah, that's
Boom.
it. Boom.
That's it.
All right. Well,
that's the podcast.
You know what to do. Just keep breathing, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.